Hey, honey, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you. Yes, I've sort of got into my groove now. I think I've kind of adjusted to working from home just as we start talking about not working from home. I'm kind of just got into it now. How about you?
I'm all fine. I was actually going to ask you about that, kind of as a psychologist, as you are. What have you noticed in people? Because it's a strange time. I feel like there's been a really big shift recently as we went into lockdown, then everyone got used to lockdown, and now we're kind of going into this new normal. Have you noticed that people you've been speaking to have kind of really been struggling with adapting to change and getting quite anxious around that?
Yes, I think one of the things I've noticed is that people seem to be in two camps. They're either kind of, I just want to get back to normal, I'm over it now, or they're kind of, oh, this feels too soon, I don't feel ready to do that, I'm worried that my boss is going to put pressure on me to go back to work. So I think it really depends on what kind of mindset you have. And those people who don't feel ready, I think, are the ones that are feeling the most amount of anxiety.
So that's something that's normal, this kind of anxiety. It's something I've been feeling a lot. People who watch quite a few of these videos will notice that I'm filming from a complete different place. And that's because last week I was quite worried about things and I decided to change my room around completely. So now where I usually
Right.
it has a big cupboard by it, so I can't actually get there. But I found that really helped me cope because I couldn't control the lockdown. I couldn't control going back to this new norm and everything that's changing, but I could control my own space.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys don't fit all, but is that something that people can do to kind of quell the anxiety, or are there any tips that you can give to kind of help people cope?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly creating a comfortable environment in which you can kind of recharge and wind down is definitely a good thing. I wouldn't sort of necessarily say that kind of trying to control your environment is going to help, but if it means putting in place some structure, a routine, a comfortable space so that you can actually refresh yourself, I think we have to accept that there is going to be a certain level of anxiety as we readjust to the new normal and going back into society. Any kind of adjustment, any kind of change, we are going to have a kind of anxious response to it. That's just normal human being stuff. So I think we need to kind of maybe accept that and allow ourselves time to recharge and unwind. And there are some things you can do to kind of combat the effects of stress. So making sure that you're still getting good daily exercise, making sure that you're getting the basics right, eat healthily, try to allow a little bit extra time to wind down for sleep. They're all going to help you physiologically cope with the demands and the effects of stress on your body. But then mentally, I think it is about being really kind of careful to put time in your day when you can relax, when you can switch off, when you can unwind. That's going to be really key.
I think also with a lot of people, they kind of, and myself included, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Like, okay, well, today I've got to do the cleaning, do my daily run, do my work if I'm working from home. And I think also it's a little bit about kind of being kind to yourself and not being overwhelmed. Like, this is an overwhelming time.
So true. I mean, I think every interview I've done so far, I've ended up talking about like having self-compassion. Having compassion for ourselves right now is going to be so key, because I think we've been saying all the way through, this is an unprecedented time. But it's true. We are finding our way through. Everybody is finding their way through. The politicians, the leaders, we are, our families are. So therefore, our employers are. So therefore, it's baby steps. And we do need to be kind to ourselves and just really understand that we're going to feel a bit anxious. Everybody around us is going to be feeling a bit anxious too. So being compassionate to others and understanding that they might not be in a good place, and then finding our way through gradually.
Absolutely. And something that I've spoken about on all the interviews I've done is kind of your lockdown love, which I've asked everyone simply because I think there's a lot of negativity at the moment and a lot of people are really scared. But at the same time, people have been coping in little ways and having little things that kind of kept them going. I've had some great ones. Gemma was my first kind of guest, and she was saying strawberry Ribena was her go-to. It saved her. Who else? James had a great one. He said that at 5 o'clock when the briefing comes on, him and all of his housemates come into the living room and they do sit-ups every time they say coronavirus, unprecedented times, anything like that. just to be informed, stay healthy and have a bit of fun. And I was speaking to you a couple of weeks ago and you told me about a brilliant way of coping, about kind of turning your room into a little hotel.
Oh gosh, oh that's so embarrassing.
I love it.
Yeah, I had like a spare kettle and I took like some little pots of like coffee and tea and sugar and I basically set it up in the side in my bedroom, just because occasionally, you know, when we're all in lockdown together here in the family home, and like just occasionally you just want to go, I just need a little bit of headspace. And I was kind of like enjoying just going into my room and being able to put the kettle on in there, make a cup of tea and then come out when I was ready. So I'm true Brit, you know, put the kettle on if you're feeling a bit stressed. So yeah, I love that. But the other thing as well I've loved is pajama days. I just don't even feel guilty about them anymore, you know. I'm just like, it's pajama day.
And you shouldn't. You should embrace the pajama day. We'll never have this many pajama days in a row ever again.
I know. I'm sort of, that's the one thing I'm like, oh, if we have to go back to general life, like, can I still wear pajamas on a Friday and things like that? So yeah, I'm going to miss my slippers.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, one last thing, just quickly. You mentioned there a little bit about how your kids have returned home and they're isolating with you. What has that been like, kind of psychology away, as a mum, to kind of they've flown the nest and now they've returned to the nest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. It's been really quite tough. Like, it's been quite hard for me to adjust to, but it's also been quite hard for them. And that's meant that, you know, everybody's been a bit kind of irritable finding our feet. When you've got to that stage in life where you're living your freedom, you know, you've got your own place, you've got your own job, suddenly you're back at home with, you know, rules of the house or just everybody having to chip into the dishes and things. It can be a bit of an adjustment, and it's been an adjustment for me too, because I've been sort of, you know, I remember going through the kind of empty nest syndrome of getting used to them having grown up and left home, and now I'm like, oh my goodness, I've got to think about what am I doing for dinner and all of that on top of my working day. So it has been a bit of an adjustment, but it's also been really nice. I must say that, like, we've actually regrouped and we've enjoyed having some family time. And I think when we look back on this time, that's probably what I'll remember. I don't think I'll remember the little bit of stress and strain that we've had and the fact that occasionally I need to escape to my room for a cup of tea. I think I will kind of remember the fact that actually we've been doing things like playing board games again and having movie nights and hanging out in the garden. You know, we've been lucky to be able to do that. So yeah, so it swings and roundabouts, good things and not so good things.
And you're so right there. We always look back on situations with rosy glasses. And I think, I look back on school and I loved school, but like also there's always tough times when you've got maths homework that you don't want to do or a friendship drama. And now you look back and you're like, it's amazing. And it's kind of learning how to kind of accept how good that time is when you're in it and find those silver linings.
So I think that's something we should definitely try to do. Like on each day, I do try, when I go to bed at night, I try to think, okay, what was the highlight? Even if the highlight today was that we had a bit of a giggle when we watched something on TV, it doesn't have to be big, but focusing on the positives in your day can be really helpful strategy, I think.
Definitely. And if anyone watching this has been struggling at all, I will pop a few helplines and links down in the bottom that you can feel free to check out. But Honey, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's great.
Pleasure.
And
pleasure. Lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Look after yourself.